Chapter 152. The crowd started bidding, and very soon, the price of the clam increased to $12 million. Many people stopped bidding as soon as the price exceeded their limit. However, the people who knew the value of the clam continued bidding for it. At this time, Gary suddenly stood up before he said, "I bid $17 million for it." After that, he turned around before he bowed and said, "Dear friends, the reason why I am here at the auction today is because of this clam. Therefore, I hope everyone will give up on bidding for this item so I can bring it home with me today. I will give everyone here today a peace talisman as a token of my gratitude." Most of the guests who were present today were bosses and businessmen who knew of Gary's reputation. No one dared to offend him. If he was unhappy, he could probably do something that would cost the other party his entire fortune or family. Besides that, he would also be giving out a peace talisman worth $300,000 to all the guests here today. Therefore, even though many of the guests felt unhappy, they chose to bear with it as it seemed as though their trip here was not in vain. At this time, Aaron had a calm expression on his face even though he was very unhappy. Initially, the rules of an auction was that the item would always go to the highest bidder, but it seems as though Gary was trying to break the rules. If he could really pay $17 million for the clam, earning less money would not be a big deal for Aaron, but if this news got around, it would definitely affect the reputation of Money House. Moreover, this would also be very damaging to the auction industry. However, Aaron knew that Gary was very skilled and powerful. Therefore, it would not be wise to offend him. It seemed as though he could only give up and hand the clam over to him. Gary was initially very arrogant, but at this time, he could not hold back his excitement at all. He had flown all the way to Oris Hill just to obtain this treasure, and even though there were several setbacks, he finally got what he wanted. Why would $17 million matter to him? As long as this clam belonged to him, he would definitely make a fortune. Moreover, everyone was silent at this time as it seemed like no one else dared to bid against him. He was indeed the master. Who would not give up anything for the great and reputable Mr. Depp? It seemed as though he had gotten a good deal for just $17 million. At this time, a faint voice suddenly sounded again. "I will pay $32 million for it." As soon as this voice rang out, everyone was quiet again. However, everyone was staring at the bidder in shock. It was him again. It was the young man who was dressed in ordinary and casual clothing. At first glance, there was nothing extraordinary about him at all. However, he won in 2 impressive bids against Watson. Moreover, he simply swiped his golden card and paid for his purchases on the spot. He was really awesome. However, no one would have expected him to have the courage to challenge Gary. As soon as Gary saw Alex's face, he could not help but glare at him. At this time, Watson stood up as he rubbed his eyes vigorously as he was clearly in shock. Faria also did not expect Alex to make an offer against Gary. She knew that Alex was very skilled and had an amazing ability to appraise antiques. However, she never knew that Alex had so much assets and money. In fact, Faria did not dare to offend Gary, but she could not help but wonder why Alex was so courageous. Wasn't he afraid that Gary would take revenge against him? Trump was the first person to regain his senses, and he quickly tugged at Alex's sleeves before he said, "Alex, what are you doing? Sit down." "Dad, I know what I am doing." Alex turned around and raised his head with a calm expression on his face. "Alex, what are you trying to do? Why are you snatching Mr. Depp's belongings?" Watson took the initiative to question Alex in a cold manner. At this time, Alex smiled before he replied, "This is an auction. Everyone has the right to bid for the item. What do you mean when you say I am snatching something belonging to him? Don't you understand the rules of an auction?" After he was done speaking, Alex sneered before he continued, You should just sit there and keep your mouth shut. Aren't you ashamed after embarrassing yourself twice in a day?" Watson felt embarrassed as soon as he heard Alex's words. Therefore, he sat down immediately without even retaliating at all. Gary had a gloomy expression on his face as he continued glaring at Alex. "It's you again. Do you know who I am and where I came from? I am Gary Depp. You dare snatch something belonging to me?" Alex sneered before he asked, "I don't care who you are, but I am going to outbid you today." "What are you going to do about that?"